Ever get that feeling that your community is just another number on some giant spreadsheet? Well, today we're going to unpack the simple but really powerful principles that can totally change that. We're going to look at a framework that helps turn any small community into a place you actually want to live.
Yeah, does this feel a little too familiar? You're a part of a smaller community, but you constantly feel like you're being overlooked. You're not alone. It's a super common problem. See, a lot of management systems, they're just built for the big guys, for huge scale. And that means real, genuine connection often gets left behind.
And, this feeling of being overlooked, it has some pretty clear symptoms. Getting a straight answer takes forever. Decisions are always about putting out the latest fire instead of planning ahead, and there's absolutely no long-term vision. And what's the result? Pretty much everyone, from the residents to the board members, just feels completely unheard.
So, how do we fix this whole mess? It's so tempting to think the answer is, some new software or more complicated rules, but it's not. The real solution is actually way simpler. It's all about getting back to the basic core principles that build strong communities right from the ground up. So, what are these principles? Well, think of them as 5 essential building blocks. We've got personalized attention, strong leadership, proactive planning, unwavering consistency, and smart long-term decisions. All right, let's dive into that first one. First up is personalized attention. Look, this is all about shifting from a how many can we handle mindset to one that's driven by relationships. It's the difference between a manager knowing your unit number versus actually knowing your name. Small communities absolutely thrive when people feel like they're being heard and supported. At the end of the day, it's about people, not just property units. Next up, strong boards. Your board is the absolute bedrock of the community. And here's the thing, even with a tiny budget, a board that has clear roles, communicates effectively, and makes consistent decisions, well, they can have a massive positive impact. Honestly, leadership is everything. Okay, our third principle is proactive planning. This is the huge difference between constantly putting out fires and, preventing them from starting in the first place. For instance, just imagine a community that notices its roof is getting old. Instead of just waiting for a massive leak that causes thousands in damage, they plan for it. They budget for a replacement. They end up saving a ton of money and a huge headache for everyone involved. That's proactive stability. Now, here's a really simple idea that has some incredibly powerful results. Consistency builds trust. Just think about it for a second. When the rules are enforced and any disputes are handled fairly in the exact same way every single time, the board earns massive credibility. And when people actually trust the process, the whole community just runs better. This quote right here perfectly sets up our final principle. It is just so easy to go for the quick fix, right? Or the cheapest option available now. But that kind of thinking almost always creates much bigger, way more expensive problems down the road. Which brings us to our final building block, making smart decisions. This is the engine that drives your community's long-term value. I mean, every single choice, from picking a landscaper who does amazing work to building a healthy reserve fund, it all directly impacts your financial stability, the condition of the property, and, whether people are actually happy to live there. So here's the most crucial point of all. These 5 principles, they aren't just some isolated checklist you can tick off one by one. No way. Their real power comes from how they all work together, reinforcing each other to create this amazing positive cycle. And you can see exactly how they connect. For example, having a strong, smart budget is what allows you to do proactive maintenance. And making consistent decisions reduces conflict, which naturally builds a much stronger sense of community. Each principle just makes the others more powerful. So when all these different elements are working in harmony, the result is truly transformative. Your community doesn't just run a little better, it becomes fundamentally stronger. What you get is more stability, way more efficiency, and a real, genuine sense of connection between everyone who lives there. If there is one thing you take away from all this, please let it be this. Thriving, successful, happy communities. They are not a matter of luck. They don't just happen by accident. Nope, they are built on purpose. They are the direct results of making intentional decisions, of having consistently clear communication, steady leadership, and a real commitment to thinking long-term instead of just going for the short-term fix. This is the blueprint. So that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Looking at these 5 building blocks, which one does your community need to focus on right now? Which is the one principle that, if you strengthen it first, will create the biggest positive ripple effect for everyone?